Tonight on News 5 Live, the joint unions and government meet ahead of increments for teachers and public officers being unfrozen. An allegation is being made against the Minister of Transport regarding the purchase of air conditioners for private use at a hotel. Government response. And tonight on Belize on Real, we'll take you to San Esteban in Orange Walk, where the village has become the digital hub for MSMEs. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Staying connected with your loved ones while traveling is even more important during this global pandemic. With Digi, this is even easier and more convenient with our data roaming plans. Postpaid customers have instant access to mobile data when in 41 destinations worldwide. With 3 affordable plans, starting at only $28, it's easy to instantly connect via your favorite digital platform. To purchase your data roaming plan, contact Digi before your travel date. If you are already abroad, you can contact us via email at digihelp@livedigi.com or via WhatsApp at 608-8888. For more information, visit our website at livedigi.com/digicel or visit a Digistore near you. You can roam, stay safe, and stay connected with Digi.
On March 5th in Belize City, the 94th edition of the Baron Bliss Harbor Regatta takes place off Seashore Drive in the Buttonwood Bay area of Belize City. Come out at 9 a.m. and witness as 6 sailing clubs battle head-to-head for the coveted title of champions and thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. It's a showdown that you won't want to miss, as the spectacular 16 sailing dories from Gales Point, Malantee is back. Come on out and tailgate along the shore or find that perfect spot to barbecue and imbibe while enjoying the sights and sounds of the Baron Bliss Harbor Regatta. Sunday, March 5th at 9 a.m. Sponsors are the Bliss Trust, Honorable Anthony Mahler and the BTB, Mahias United, Honorable Dolores Valderramas Garcia, Bowen & Bowen, and Mr. Wally Brown. Special thanks to the Belize Coast Guard, the Belize Ports Authority, and the Belize City Council.
Get ready for fantastic discounts. From now through to September 30th, Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th, only at Venice. Quality and savings.
City O Capital Sports and Muy Uno Resort present Friday Night Live. This Friday, March 3rd, your high-octane, sharp-shooting, high-flying Belize City defenders do battle with the second hottest team in the BEPL, the Orange Walk Running Rebels. Come and witness the 1-2 combination of newcomer Lorenzo Dillon and the Talladega Tornado, Mr. MVP Nigel Jones, lead the #1 team in the BEPL. Your Belize City Defenders. Fans, come get a chance at our 1-2-3 halftime challenge, where someone can walk away with $3,000 in cold hard cash. The after party goes down inside Shisha 8 Lounge. Tickets go on sale at the Civic Center ticket booths on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Sponsored by Muy Uno Resorts, 1-2-3 Vegetable Oil, Honorable Anthony Mahler, Print Inc., Channel 5, Belize City Council, The Tavern, Party 2000, Shisha 8 Lounge, Premier Charters and Tours, Smiling Meats, Nocturnal, Full Memory Photography, and Mars Renter.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank. Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, March 2nd. I am Sabrina Daly. Representatives from the joint unions and their counterparts from the government held another in a series of meetings today. The two sides have been trying to work out the finer details of how and when the increment freeze on public officers and teachers' salaries will be lifted. And while many on the wayside might have their take on how easy those exercises could be for the parties that are engaged, it is a timely process of discussions. There is always a balance that has to be struck between one side that sets its demands and the other side saying how much of those it can meet and in what time frame. So upon their exit from the meeting this afternoon, we asked President of the Public Service Union, Dean Flowers, specifically what strides have been made between the last meeting and this one.
What changed was that, one, there was a commitment that increments will be unfrozen this year, and in accordance with the government's position, I think that we still have not agreed to the date. Our membership gave us a mandate. You know that mandate. We've presented that to the government. We have not moved from that position. And so Cabinet will now need to make a decision prior to the reading of the budget on Tuesday, and get back to us before going to the House on Friday. So that's one progress, or that what we consider progress. In terms of progress where pension reform is concerned, we're very pleased that we've been heard, that it cannot be a one size fit all, or whatever that phrase is. The government has recognized that they need to look at the existing public officers in the system versus those new in the system. No plan, no decision, no scheme, nothing has been proposed. Those will be forthcoming, as I understand, from the government side. And then we'll take those to our membership for them to look at and for them to modify, enhance, or agree to. So in my humble opinion, there was in fact progress where those two matters are concerned.
Belize National Teachers Union President Senator Elena Smith told the media that the discussions were frank and cordial, but that no definitive conclusions have yet been met. But one thing is for sure, the unions are not in agreement with the linking of the unfreezing of increments with pension reform.
We are not agreeing to link anything to any pension reform. Our people have already worked for those increments. They were taken away from them. They have been appraised throughout all of these years, since they freeze. And so there's no additional thing to do in terms of just unfreezing.
Okay. So moving forward, though, do you think that they will make the appraisal process more rigorous? Because the Prime Minister is suggesting that there will be something new.
Well, I'm not sure in terms of public service what that will look like, but we know that there has been discussions as it relates to the accuracy, if you will, in terms of whether the appraisal that we currently have, whether that is providing accurate information scores on our performance. And so from our end, I can speak to from our end, there has been a talk of revising the appraisal instrument.
Minister of Education Francis Fonseca, who is on the government's team, explained in greater detail. He said that aside from the unions wanting their increments to be restored, they also want to collect their increments for the past 2 years. That, he explained, is not a matter that can be realized this year.
The real difference in our positions has been this effective start date of the unfreezing of those increments. So initially we had proposed September 1st. After discussions in Cabinet, we brought that forward to July 1st. The union's position has always been that it should be effective April 1st, 2023. Today they presented us with some additional information, which I think provided some context for a better understanding of how perhaps some public officers could be negatively impacted by a later start date. So there could be some discrimination, if you like. So that additional information, I think, will help us to go back to Cabinet. We've undertaken to take that additional information back to Cabinet and to make the case for perhaps moving it forward to April 1st. So we will do that on Tuesday in Cabinet, and a final decision will be made by the Cabinet on that issue. We also, of course, they've talked about the two lost increments that they have suffered, and we have said to them that obviously that's not something we can do this fiscal year. We're prepared to continue having a discussion with them about how that can be looked at in the future. So that's going to be an ongoing discussion in terms of those two lost increments.
The global issue of inflation has sharply increased the cost of supplies as well as the cost of goods and services in Belize. Notwithstanding government subsidies to the productive and transportation sectors, among other initiatives and achievements, the cost of living remains high and is affecting all Belizeans. Earlier today, it was announced via cabinet brief that a subcommittee led by Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Jose Abelardo Mai, has been convened to look at a short-term framework to lessen the impacts of those most affected, as well as to address what is being reported as rampant price gouging. News 5 caught up with Prime Minister John Braceno in San Esteban this morning and asked him about the newly established task force.
What we did is, remember, Minister Mai has the responsibility of supplies control, and there they have the inspectors to ensure that people are not price gouging. But we thought that it was more than just the government to be able to do that. So what we said, we set up a task force with him as a head, with his technical people, but also the unions have been saying that they want to help in this quest, that they have the ideas how we could try to control price gouging. So we said we want to bring them in and bring in the private sector so that we can come up with a plan that everybody would support. Now it's easy. Some people are saying, well, reduce taxes, but reducing taxes, most of what we bring to the table to eat doesn't pay taxes. So I mean, and we import too much of our food, so we're importing inflation. But by eating more locally, then I think we can see we can make a difference. So the idea is to have a team to take a look, and we're hoping that at the most within a month we should be able to get some feedback to Cabinet as to what are the recommendations that they're making to help us to be able to combat inflation, but more importantly, the price gouging that many of our citizens believe is happening today.
Coming up, a tribunal is established to review DOE's decision on Port of Belize expansion and cruise tourism project. Find out the details when we come back.
Love is in the air, and what better way to spread love than with the Samsung Galaxy? Gift the Samsung Galaxy and keep in touch, share memories, and make new ones. This Valentine's, fall in love with our incredible deals with Samsung phones starting as low as $319 and the Galaxy Tabs starting at $389. Choose from a variety of models from the full Galaxy lineup, including Galaxy A03, A04e, A04, A13, A23, A33, A53, S20 FE, S22, S22 Plus, S22 Ultra, Tab A7, Tab A7 Lite, and the latest released Galaxy Z Flip 4 and Z Fold 4. Enjoy your device with peace of mind, knowing that your Galaxy device is protected by 1-year local warranty only when you purchase from authorized resellers countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Quartz, and Odette's Home Center. So make this Valentine's Day one to remember and spread love with a Galaxy.
You could still come over though, if you actually move or something.
Oh my god, I can't believe this happened.
Under the bed or in the closet, which one?
I got 3 boys. I need them to be better men than me. I mean, better men than we.
Please don't go wind up.
What's that mean? Hello? Who has stopped me? Which one I know?
For We Family Season 2 at 8 p.m. on Channel 5 and on News 5 Live's Facebook page. Brought to you by the National Commission for Families and Children in collaboration with the National Parenting Task Force and UNICEF.
You know the saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. What do you do when you get to a dead end? Sometimes life just doesn't go the way we planned it to go. And when you're in those seasons of life, what do you do? Where do you go? Who do you turn to? Join Sagebrush Church as we begin our series, Dead End Desperation, where we'll talk about following God in some of the hardest moments of our lives. Be sure to visit sagebrush.church or download the Sagebrush app for locations, service times, and more.
We were all suffering through the COVID-19. Tourists stopped coming into the island. Things got very expensive for us. There was price gouging everywhere to where we were suffering real bad. There was no work. There was no job. Even as a taxi driver, we can barely make $30 a day. Now, versus right now, 2023, thank God and thank to the tourists that it's coming in back to play. We can pay our rent. We can pay our bills. We can even pay back rent where we used to owe. So I'm very glad tourism is really coming back.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benque Viejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
Today, Belize observed World Obesity Day, which is celebrated annually on March 4th. This year's theme is Changing Perspectives. Let's talk about obesity. And so the day is being used to sensitize persons to the dangers of obesity and encourage practical solutions to help people achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Obesity presents many health risks and is often time-reflective of what we consume. It falls in line with a consultation that was held on Wednesday at the Biltmore Plaza, where various stakeholders from the private and public sector were engaged. The Front of Package Nutritional Labeling Stakeholder Consultation is looking at a regional scheme that seeks to address health concerns for non-communicable diseases and obesity. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
Worldwide, data shows that chronic diseases such as diabetes, kidney failure, and heart disease are becoming not only more prevalent, but presenting themselves in a younger age group, 35 to 45 years of age. There is need for action to change what we consume on a daily basis, but those steps have to be made across the food supply chain and will require public and private sector involvement.
We are having an increasing trend of young people, and I'm referring to people between 35 and 45 years old, which is young, already being classified to some degree of disability at the age of 45. You are disabled simply because of some complication of a cardiovascular disease. Now, those things should not be happening, especially if we as leaders know that one fundamental determinant is what we eat.
As it currently stands, Belize imports over 70% of the food we consume. A walk down a grocery store aisle would show that almost all goods are not locally made. The nutritional labels on these products are ignored by most shoppers. They are small and are oftentimes located either to the side or back of the product, where a recipe would sometimes be. And so the idea that by improving consumer knowledge to make informed choices in the consumption of daily prepackaged foods, it will help to address non-communicable diseases and obesity amongst the citizenry.
When you look at innocent children eating many foods that are extremely unhealthy, you cannot really blame them as children. Who needs to be blamed is the parents, those who are in leadership who know better and should be able to be guiding the population as to what is healthy food. There has to be a very significant level of awareness by the public in general, the consumers, and of course the importers.
It's basically to be upfront in a consumer's face that, hey, this product you're about to consume is high in fat, high in sodium, and so basically it's a warning for you that the product you're consuming may not be as healthy, and so you can make that conscious decision whether you want to consume that product or not.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, in partnership with the Belize Bureau of Standards, has been holding consultations with the private sector to sensitize key stakeholders on a proposed CARICOM regional front of package nutritional labeling scheme in an effort to establish Belize's national position on it.
It's primarily on food products because the front and package warning label, like you've mentioned, is already on a lot of food products. So it's an octagonal shape system where it identifies high fat, high sodium, and so that consumers can be conscious of these from a health perspective. And so therefore, it's for us to make a decision whether that system or that octagonal system or the red light, green light system that is being proposed by other entities within the Caribbean is the best system.
The participation this morning, we had a very good cross-section of the stakeholders. We had the private sector in full force, which is good. And that's exactly what we want because they need to be part of these discussions. They are the importers, the general public are the consumers, and we as public officers should be the regulators as to what is the quality of food, as to what should be the labeling standards for the food that we eat.
To assist Belize with determining its national position, the result of a CARICOM private sector organization impact assessment study was presented to the stakeholders. But there are serious implications to be realized through this proposal, including an increase in price for product. And so those in the private sector, including manufacturers and producers of packaged products, are critical to the process.
Our private sector were concerned as it relates to cost, because it means that you have to place this new labeling on your existing product labels, and of course there's a cost associated with that. So our private sector were concerned about the cost implications of it, and of course that normally means that the consumer pays a higher price in the end. This information from today's session goes to a national mirror committee. The mirror committee is made up of various stakeholders: health, agriculture, trade, private sector entities, right? And they will deliberate on the feedbacks received today, and then they will formulate a national position.
Belize's national position has to be submitted by mid-March of this year, after which the Council for Trade and Economic Development will make a decision. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Inclusion is viewed as the key to essential disaster risk management and reduction. Women, children, youth, the elderly, the indigenous population, and persons living with disabilities are among the most affected by disasters at the local level. As a result, their voices play an important role in the creation of national and local strategies. The UNDRR agency has cited inclusion as one of its priorities, and now women, children, youth, and persons with disabilities are playing a more active role in high-level meetings. News 5's Paul Lopez takes a closer look at the UNDRR's inclusive agenda through the lenses of those most vulnerable.
Good evening once again from Punta del Este, Uruguay, where the 8th Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction is being hosted. This is day 3, the final day. Inclusion is such an important aspect for the implementation of the Sendai framework. So today, we took a closer look at those important voices from across the regions. Nothing about us without us is the motto upon which disability inclusion in disaster risk reduction is founded. Persons living with disabilities are often disproportionately affected by disasters. Many are logistically isolated. Therefore, persons with disabilities must be fully engaged in the development of national and local strategies.
Significa que se eliminen todos aquellos factores que generan vulnerabilidad, ¿no? Como por ejemplo eliminar barreras del entorno, ¿no? Es decir, en la comunicación, en la arquitectura, en el urbanismo, también por ejemplo mejorar también los procesos, los programas locales, ¿no? Que tengan en cuenta la participación plena y efectiva de las personas involucradas.
Over the past 5 years, great strides have been made towards including persons with disabilities in the decision-making process at the regional, national, and local levels. Notwithstanding the progress being made, there still exist challenges pertaining to communication, evacuation, and preparations. Women have also been demanding a seat at the table. The Women's Network for Disaster Risk Reduction, with 1,000 members, has created a unified voice for women in DRR.
Women are not a homogeneous group. We are not just one thing. And so our diversity, all of the intersections of our identities should be present in these spaces. One of the main reasons, and one of the ones we're exploring right now and working with is the fact that we are usually not only working in the productive sphere and out of the home in the economic sphere, but we also have what's known as double and triple burden. We have socio-communitary tasks and sort of quote-unquote obligations, societal, cultural obligations, but that means we're closer to the ground. Our ears are always on the ground. The fact that we are culturally, historically been having the burden of care responsibilities means also that we understand our communities.
At the regional level, there is also representation among the youth population. The Youths for Disaster Risk Reduction has, however, been demanding that their concerns and vulnerabilities are taken into great account at a national and local level.
It was 8 o'clock at night when Max was woken up by his mother, who said, "The flood is coming. You have time to pack 3 favorite toys in your backpack, and then we need to leave the house, maybe forever." Max's family, who's 7 years old, he was lucky. He was saved last minute, but 133 people did not. They died that night. The children that I met in the flood area of Germany are traumatized, and they don't want these scenarios ever again. But let's face it, we have to integrate it into our future. For how many floods, how many heat waves, how many pandemics, how many dried up rivers, crop failures, and climate migration do we have to prepare?
If it doesn't reach the most vulnerable people in the most remote areas who may not even speak the common language of the country, then we are not being successful.
Reporting from Punta del Este, Uruguay for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
During the negotiation period of the Sendai Framework, the Build Back Better concept was introduced as a post-disaster response towards creating more resilient nations and societies. It is considered to be one of the most important concepts in the framework and touches issues pertaining to the restoration of physical infrastructure, revitalization of livelihood and economy, and the restoration of local culture and environment. But how practical is this concept in the Caribbean context, particularly for countries hit by multiple disasters at the same time? Immediately following the devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian, COVID-19 exposed even greater vulnerabilities within the Bahamas and led to billions of dollars in losses in tourism. With mounting debts and high interest rates on international loans, Minister Miles Lorado says championing the Building Back Better concept is near impossible.
It's hard to build back better when our realities are that when we go to source funds, because of our vulnerabilities, we're paying a higher premium in loans, we're paying higher interest rates. So we're basically being punished twice. We've have to suffer the consequences of wealthier nations, and we have to pay a higher price to put us in the same position that we were in. We can't even talk about moving forward, just to put us in the place that we were at before the last hazard. And so that's our dilemma, to make those countries sensitive to the facts that we are doing our best. We have strict building codes in the Bahamas, some of the strictest in the region. As a matter of fact, I think Florida adapted their codes to the Bahamas after Hurricane Matthew in, I think it was the 90s. And so it's not as if we just being negligent in terms of our codes or our lifestyles.
After the break, would lifting the increment freeze require tweaking the budget? We'll tell you about that. But first, here's the weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
The last time we visited Miss Francesca Howers was to deliver the exciting news that she was chosen to receive a home sponsored by SMART for its 18th anniversary through the Hand in Hand Ministries housing program. Since then, she has actively been participating in attending Saturday sessions to improve her life skills, cleared her property for its foundation and construction of her home, and has assisted in the construction of a home for another recipient of Hand in Hand housing program. All these activities are to foster a more responsible, responsive citizen in our community.
Do you have information about a crime or a fugitive in our community? You can submit a tip anonymously with your smartphone. Using this program in Safeguarding Our Community also protects your identity, keeping you out of the court system, and could earn you a cash reward. Here is how it works. Download the free P3 Tips app from the Apple Store or Android Market. P3 is the provider of our secure anonymous tip collecting software. Open the app and create a PIN, but be sure to remember that number, then select your location. Next, select the type of crime. When submitting a tip, be as specific as possible. If you have a picture, video, or audio that will help officers, you can upload them from your phone. Information leading to an arrest can earn you a cash reward of up to $1,000. Once your tip is submitted, you'll be given a tip ID and password. Check back if your tip leads to an arrest. You'll be told how much you were rewarded and how to anonymously collect your cash.
At the time when the island shut down, I stuck here because I'm originally from Muscat. So I cannot move until they open up the place. Then I moved, went back like for a month.
So now you're back on the island doing, I guess, what you love, right?
Yeah, so and the tourists, they come in and they supporting us, so, you know, so that's a good thing. And people come by and stuff like that. So then I ask you how you were surviving. I tell them how I was surviving. They give you a little extra money. Say everybody was, you know, they tip you and say this. Everybody was in the same process, you know.
If you are ailing due to a chronic disease and are left permanently invalid before retirement age, you may want to check if you qualify to receive invalidity benefit. The invalidity benefit exists for persons who are unable to continue working due to permanent illness. To qualify, you must be under 60 years old, must be sick for 26 consecutive weeks and certified to be medically unable to perform any type of work, must have at least 5 years of paid SSB contributions and at least 5 paid within the 3 months leading up to your illness. If you do not qualify for the invalidity pension, you may be eligible for the invalidity grant. Want to know more about invalidity benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board. Safeguarding you, your family, your future.
When the talk of lifting the increment freeze comes into play, the question of whether or not the government might have to adjust its expenditure for its national budget to reflect this new addendum becomes a live issue. But according to PSU President Flowers, not necessarily.
If you're going to provide for an expenditure within a fiscal year, regardless of when you effect that expenditure, or incur that expenditure, you would have already budgeted for it. So in terms of the government's projection on the revenue side to be able to match the increments, I don't know if they did an analysis in terms of when there would be a higher inflow of revenues to be able to accommodate that increase versus the proposed date that we're suggesting. I don't know. That is not my responsibility. I think we're paying somebody for the past 10 years over $100,000 to do that, and so it's for him to do those tweaking if it's necessary. In my humble opinion, I don't think there will be much tweaking that will be necessary. Today, I think we discussed several very important issues that we will need to collaborate with the government on if it is that we're supposed to help improve the fiscal situation of government.
What happens though if the decision from cabinet isn't in your favor?
I think that's what I was going to say. depending on what response we get from them on Tuesday or Wednesday, then we will determine whether we have to meet again to flesh out a bit more the matter of increments. I think what we want to put on a record is the matter of the pension reform, because I understand that the Prime Minister indicated to the media that it was us who suggested April 1st. So if it is that is what he said, I haven't seen it, but if that is what was said, then that is not true. We didn't suggest any date. It was them who told us April 1st. We have said to them that we were not in agreement with April 1st because we had to have these discussions. You can't just put something on the table just like that without having these discussions and see what would be the implications on our members for something such as a pension reform.
The government has been pushing the point that the current pension scheme is not sustainable and that there will have to be a reform of sorts. Along with the discussion for pension reform is the suggestion that there be new conditions for new employees who are enlisted on system.
We can't wait any longer. We have to have an effective start date. Anybody new coming into the service, these are the terms and conditions of your employment. This is the contributory pension scheme that you will work under. Then we have this working group that we will set up. That's what I'm saying. We'll set up a working group to look at phase 2 to see how.
Been against contributory pension.
Yes, but we all know, and the union knows this, that the current structure is unsustainable. So that's why we're approaching it in 2 phases. So they have agreed to participate in this working group that will look at phase 2. How do we then look at the current system that governs existing public officers and see what changes have to be made in terms of the sustainability of that pension scheme moving forward. So we all understand that as much as we don't want to make these tough decisions, we have to if we're going to be a responsible government.
Earlier today, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Transport responded to an allegation on Wave Radio in which a minister of government is accused of blatant corruption that is attempting to use public monies to install 25 air conditioning units at a hotel allegedly owned by the said minister, who was unnamed in the post. The ministry's release states in part, quote, "For the record, there is absolutely no truth to the information contained in the post, nor in what was stated on Wave Radio. 10 AC units were purchased by the Ministry of Transport to be placed at the ministry's offices in the south. All AC units have been installed. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Transport intends to pursue every legal avenue to bring action against the owner-operators of the blog, as well as against Wave Radio for the clear slander of a government minister, and by extension, the entire government of Belize, without any basis in fact." This evening, the president of the PSU, Dean Flowers, said that this allegation brings to light the need for the government to revert to the system of permanent secretaries rather than chief executive officers.
I have absolutely no idea what's happening between the Honorable Ferguson and his CEO. I was updated this morning in terms of what are the allegations behind it, and also I understand that there may have been some actions taken by the finance officer within the ministry. I am yet to ascertain that. As it relates to that sweetheart quarrel, if I could call it that, I don't have much to say. I think what it does is that it reinforces the Public Service Union's argument that the time has come for this administration to revert to permanent secretaries. Because if a permanent secretary was there, I'm pretty quite sure that the Honorable Ferguson, who by the way is riding a very high horse if you see his interviews of lately, would have been put in his place.
The Ministry of Sustainable Development has established a tribunal to review the decision of the Department of Environment's decision regarding the Port of Belize expansion and cruise tourism project. As we reported in late 2022, Department of the Environment did not grant environmental clearance to Waterloo Investment Holdings Limited for the port expansion and cruise tourism project, and an appeal was subsequently filed. The newly formed tribunal is comprised of Madame Justice Patricia Farnese, a High Court judge who will serve as chairperson, Lucy Fleming, a private sector representative with extensive expertise in the business sector, particularly the tourism sector, and Professor Terence Hughes, a science expert with academic knowledge and training in environment and natural resources management. Of note is that Fleming has published articles in local newspapers, particularly the San Pedro Sun, expressing her views on Belize as a cruise port. Professor Hughes has also shared his position on dredging in the past. Back in January, we spoke with Minister of Sustainable Development, Orlando Habet, about the tribunal.
We have to follow the regulations. The regulations calls for the formation of the tribunal. One person coming as a magistrate that is selected by the chief magistrate, or a justice coming from the Supreme Court. The second person being the senator responsible for business. And the third would be one person who's a professional in the environmental field, ecology, to come as a person nominated or assigned by the minister responsible for sustainable development.
So do you think the laws need to be changed though, because people are saying, well, you have a 3-member tribunal being able to overturn the decision of 16 people who are actually experts. Will this be a public hearing, public deliberation of this tribunal?
I wouldn't be able to tell if it is public, because based on Section 27, if you follow through, it also tells you that the tribunal will form its own proceedings, will make will guide itself with their own principles and proceedings. So we don't know if they will say, well, it's going to be a public hearing or not, or it will be in close quarters. But certainly in regards to the legislation, and I have heard the concerns that you have 14 or 15 members of NEAC going through this assessment, coming from professionals in the field and some administrators, and then you put it to three-person tribunal.
When we return, Belize benefits from $10 million compact development funding.
Environmentally degradable plastics, or EDP, are plastics that are affected by a combination of environmental conditions that cause the plastic to break down within an acceptable time frame. They are specifically designed to degrade into carbon dioxide, water, and other biomass substances. The level of breakdown can vary based on standard test methods appropriate to the plastic. Click on the link below to see what you can do to help end the nightmare of single-use plastics. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
Messi! Off goal! What a goal from Leo Messi! What an incredible strike from Leo Messi! Neymar and Messi is standing over this. Messi! Off goal! What a goal from Leo
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Sign up for Smart's Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Special offer alert! Trade in your old device and active SIM and get a Samsung A04e for as low as $85, plus 50% off your Share One plan for the first 3 months. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. Now that's love! So this month, get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
In tonight's episode of Belize on Real, News 5 travels to a San Esteban Orange Walk where the inauguration of Digital Connect Center was held. Here's News 5's Isani Cayetano with that story.
Many may not know or remember, but San Esteban was the first town in Orange Walk District. Before Sugar City became the municipality it is today, this small community, just 6 miles away from Orange Walk town, was once teeming with agricultural activity. In fact, it still is. The village, surrounded by thousands of acres of lush cane fields, is the #1 producer of sugar cane in the north. While agriculture is its mainstay, San Esteban's location in northeast of the district also makes it a gateway to other villages further east.
San Esteban is a very progressive village. You have some of the best contractors in the country, building contractors from San Esteban. You have some of the biggest cane farmers and people in agriculture here in San Esteban. So it is set appropriately. And also you have villages like Progreso and Sartenea, Shunush. All of them pass through San Esteban.
Because of its ideal setting, the Belize Trade and Investment Development Service, Beltrade, has chosen San Esteban to establish the first of several Digital Connect centers that will be created across the country. These are spaces where citizens and entrepreneurs in rural communities can access business development information, as well as connect with various government agencies.
What it's going to do is to connect those with who might have been left out and being able to communicate with others, because of the challenges not having access to a center such as this. These 4 computers that you see here, they not only you can access the Virtual Knowledge Center, which is a center where businesses can interact with each other, but also access the library. You can access so much information, and my understanding is that the library has a lot of traffic. And with that kind of traffic, it simply means now, once students hear about this, they can come in, do their research. Members of the community can come in and interact as well and learn more about, really the use of this equipment that's presently here. So it's really a great initiative.
The project falls under the Building Resilient MSMEs, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, a collaborative effort with the E-Governance and Digitalization Unit and the United Nations Development Program.
Coming out of COVID, I think one of the things we all appreciated was the haves and the haves not, and one of those was digital divide. We saw that with some, everyone struggled, but some struggle more in terms of their access to information and resources. Of course, that being the internet and the ability to utilize that, both from the point of view of education, but also from businesses. And we saw some businesses pivot very quickly to utilizing these tools.
With a population of a little over 1,500 residents during the last census, San Esteban has since experienced a boom in the total number of people who inhabit the village. The introduction of the Digital Connect Center will help students to keep up with technology and other resources that are being made available through this facility.
This is honestly a dream come true, because we have always wanted a library that is well equipped, that has internet, computer, AC, everything comfortable for the kids, and it came to reality. And it's something that is really, really good for our village because our village is growing very fast.
Do you anticipate that other communities in the surrounding area would be able to access this facility for the purpose of business connections?
Definitely. As a matter of fact, we have people in the village that are related to people from Progreso, Sartene, Hachonush. So they can always come and use the facilities. It's open to the wider public. I mean, it is for the benefit of our younger generation.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
The governments of Belize and the United States, along with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, a U.S. government agency, signed a compact development funding grant agreement on Wednesday evening. MCC compacts are 5-year grant programs that aim to reduce poverty by increasing economic growth. Belize had submitted 2 concept papers to the corporation that describe the strategic approach that the government would like to undertake through a compact program to address in areas of education and energy. For education, the government wants to increase the opportunity for more post-primary graduates to access the secondary education while transforming teaching and learning and reducing skills gaps in key growth industries. In terms of the electricity project, the aim is to reduce the cost of electricity by improving governance capacity and supporting Belize to implement its renewable energy expansion plans. Through this agreement, Belize receives a $10 million grant from the U.S. as that country's ambassador to Belize, Michelle Kwan, and Deputy Vice President for the DFC operations in Latin America, Jonathan Brooks, shared with News 5.
Today's signing is very exciting, $10 million from the U.S. government to the government of Belize to support the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact, and this is the Development Compact Fund. So it is a grant and not a loan, and help facilitating this and focused on two various sectors, the energy sector and education.
The Millennium Challenge Corporation is an independent U.S. government agency that is very selective about the places in which we work. And Belize was selected because of the performance that relative to its peers, it has in issues of governance, in investing in its people, as well as economic freedom. Our board made that selection, and it is from there that we have started the compact development process, right? We are now about a year into that compact development process. This $10 million grant that the ambassador noted is part of helping us work together to develop it further. Once we complete the design of the program and understand, more specifically how we will use, what we will do in the program, we will arrive at a final amount that we hope to sign next year in order to address these 2 sectors that I spoke about. Back in January 2022, our team started working together after Belize was selected to identify what we consider to be the key constraints to growth in Belize. And it was through that very rigorous analytical process, again, in very close partnership with a great team of dedicated Belizeans, sponsored by the government of Belize, that we have arrived at the 2 constraints that the ambassador noted. Electricity, and particularly the high cost of electricity, as well as education. So we are working to design programs jointly with Belize to address those key issues.
What I find very fascinating with the compact selection process as well as the development of the compact is how specialized and focused it is, and listening and to hearing the challenges that Belize faces and having systemic change in finding the hinders of economic growth. So I'm giving an applause for the efforts of the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact and what it hopes to do in this country, because it is a real game changer.
The Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital has 4 newly trained radiologists to complement its radiology unit. The project was initially produced in 2019, but was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. As soon as business returned to normal, efforts were renewed to reestablish the unit. The hospital, along with the Taiwan Embassy, through its new ambassador to Belize, Lily Li Wen-shu, and the Ministry of Health, has opened a radiographer training program after the first 4 trained radiographers recently returned from Far Eastern Memorial Hospital in Taiwan.
Belize and Taiwan have enjoyed a mutually beneficial partnership over more than 3 decades now. Among the many areas of our bilateral cooperation, health has always been one of our top priorities. Over the years, Taiwan has continued to assist Belize in the advancement of its medical care and medical technology, as well as its public health system in various ways. Today's opening ceremony for the National Assistant Radiographer Training Program is another shining example of the commitment to such an important area of our bilateral cooperation. Likewise, Belize has strongly advocated for Taiwan's participation in the World Health Organization and its annual assembly.
It was delayed because of COVID. So it was little after I became the Minister of Health and Wellness that we decided to rename the radiographers that would go out to Taiwan to get this training. Remember, one of the things that we have always tried to do is to up our ante in terms of diagnostic, testing, and so forth. And so the opportunity that our radiographers were able, the 4 radiographers that went out, that we identified across the country, to go out and get this skill, is to be able to come back to Belize and then impart that same knowledge to other radiographers in country. Now we are working along with the FEM, the Far Eastern Memorial Hospital, to see if there can be more training programs which they have committed to come in and oversee the program that we are doing here locally. Now, do we have the type of equipment that Taiwan has? That's a challenge. We are trying to see how we could improve on those things as well. So the demand we have is now to bring up to speed our diagnostic system that exists at both KHMH and across the country. Yes, we have had assistance from the Taiwanese government in terms of affording us the ability to get digital X-ray machines. Yeah. Those have been deployed across the country, and that is the reason why these radiographers had to go out and train so that they know how to analyze and utilize those systems that exist now. It's about improving service delivery to our Belizean people.
Radiology is a key diagnostic tool for many diseases, particularly at a tertiary care facility like the KHMH, and supports diagnosis, monitoring, and treatment, and consequently improving outcomes. With ever-increasing advances in technology, in radiology, this field has become crucial to the administration of medical care and improved patient results. Training is very critical to ensure the proper delivery of all aspects of care, and even more so in radiology, which is a highly technical field. The aim of this project most certainly aligns with the aim of the KHMH, which is to offer the best in medical care imaging through a digitized radiology system in our health facilities.
While we had the opportunity of speaking with the Belize City Mayor on Wednesday, we asked him how the City Council's finances are performing. This comes a year after the reopening of business and citizens' payments of trade and property taxes at the time were still less than impressive.
Taxes could be better, of course. We always want to ensure that we get those property taxes. I must say that trade license dues has performed pretty well. We are close to 90% compliance rate with the trade license. The property tax is another story, but we have put in place some discounts program that we hope will drive our residents to comply with the paying of their property taxes.
Road infrastructure continued to be carried out in phases. Mayor Bernard Wagner explained that there is a list of streets that will be prioritized in the coming weeks and months, including quite a few on the south side.
We have a robust street plan, over 90 streets, right, to be rehabilitated, either by way of concreting, either by way of chip and seal, or by the hardcore material. I will share that with you all very shortly. but it's a robust plan. If you visit the Rocky Road area, that has been concrete. Berkeley Street has been concrete. We are now starting the Church Street from the bridge to Glen Street. We have Prince Street, we have Bishop Street. All of those streets will be concreted. We have some in the Kings Park area as well. We have ripped those streets. They are ready for chip and seal. It's a whole bunch of streets we'll be doing because we understand that quality of life is important. People want to walk on a decent street. Motorists want to drive on a decent street. So we know that has been some measure of our Achilles heel, and so we want to address those issues.
You have those once paved roads in the Collet area that are now dirt roads again.
The Antelope Street extension, yes, that will be chip and seal fully. That is within our plan.
Meanwhile, the mayor said that the Holy Emmanuel Street project still has a way to go with the installation of sidewalks, by parking, a parking bay, and green spaces. He said that these works will be done before the city acquires electric buses to replace the diesel ones running the different routes. Up next, preparation in full swing for the Under-19 National Volleyball Men team.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
After a rough week of school, Jake and his friends decide to treat themselves to frozen coffee. And since they don't have cash on them, they decide to use eCash. With eCash's geolocation feature, Jake can easily find the nearest coffee spot. With eCash's built-in option to split bills, Jake can pay the bill and his friends can reimburse their portion of the bill. Jake scans the merchant's code and confirms payment. Jake then views his transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the Split the Bill button where he selects the Evenly option to evenly split the bill. The application splits the bill automatically. His friends receive and accept the request. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash makes Jake enjoy his digital lifestyle.
The NORCECA U19 Male Continental Volleyball Championship takes place in just about a week and a half from March 13th to the 18th in Guatemala. The 12 athletes have been selected and will travel with the coaching delegation, an international referee, and team manager on March 11th. News 5 caught up with the team as they trained at the Belize Elementary School Gymnasium on Wednesday night. Here's a report.
They've been training for some time, but after the news broke that Belize's U19 national male volleyball team was chosen to participate in the highest level of volleyball to date, the preparation became more intense. Among the instructors is national team coach Albert Humes.
The biggest in our life so far at this level. Right now the preparation is going well. Fortunately, most of the guys are from the city that is really helping us to be together. No? We are short of one player right now because he's from PG, but that's how we're working.
Talk to us about what the workout plan is looking like as we get closer.
Well, right now as we're getting closer, we are trying to do more game situation. Because we don't have the amount of practice matches to go abroad, we have to, among the guys, the senior guys and so forth, we train the team to try to prepare for the other teams. But we are getting there.
Nicanor Requena is one of the athletes who will be representing the country on the national team. While training sessions have been intense, he says the team is ready.
It's been a rigorous preparation. We've trained on the weekends, during the week. It's been very rigorous. training until 9 o'clock at night, you know. But we're all very excited. We are very pumped and very honored that we have this opportunity to represent Belize at the highest level and to be one of the first youth teams to make it. It's a very esteemed honor for all of us.
The delegation departs Belize on March 11th.
We are flying them over to Guatemala. They have a day there to do all the meetings that they have to do, plus they get a day to do a practice on the court itself, and then begins the tournament.
And while it's the first time that Belize is competing at this level, the fact is that Team Belize will be playing against some of the best athletes in their age bracket from the region, including the US. So what's the expectations?
The whole reason we get to go there is because we had to have beat certain people. We have to be playing at a certain level to even get there. So yes, we know we're going to go against big guys, but that's why they play the game. It's the same size ball, it's the same age athlete, it's the same size court, same height and net. So it's about getting it done.
Facing off against the bigger teams, we know that we're going to be the underdogs, so we got to push, we got to play hard defense, we got to stay low to the ground, and we got to be ready for anything, get some hits placed on our chest might just be what pulls us a win. But we're aiming to perform very well. Everybody's very excited, ready to leave everything on the court.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Last week, we reported on the U19 male national volleyball team and the U21 national female volleyball team making history when they were selected to compete at a higher level of the sport at the Continental Volleyball Championships. Well, tonight, we can report that Belize Volleyball Association is making history once again, this time in beach volleyball. Belize has qualified in both men and women to the Central American and Caribbean Games to be held in El Salvador from June 23rd to July 8th, 2023. It's an exciting time for the sport as the teams have successfully earned ranking points to participate. President of the Belize Volleyball Association, Alan Sharp, says that these games are next in line after the Olympic Games and Pan American Games.
2023 is turning out to be a blessing, but 2023 is only happening because of the work put in the past years. In the beach volleyball cases, because of the points and the ranking that we have done over the past years in going to play all over the Caribbean, all over Mexico in beach volleyball, and we've been doing well. We have, we've been climbing the ladder every time, and so because of those points, we now are managing to get to this event. The Central American and the Caribbean Games are third in line. There's the Olympics, the Pan American Games, and then the Central American and Caribbean. You have to qualify to it. You don't automatically get to go. So it's the first time we are qualifying, and in both men and women. So we are super happy, I can't say more than happy. I have cold feet and I'm so excited. Beach volleyball is growing, and truthfully, Belize is prime for beach volleyball. We have the sun on the beach, a great tourist place. So we have all that it takes. To get the teams ready, they have to continue to train. And what's going to happen right away is there's some of the international tournaments, the same ones that we played to qualify to this one, are continuing. So we want to go and compete in those. We have some happening in Mexico, some happening in the north part of the Caribbean, and we want to get to those between now and June when we have to leave. So we're going to be raising funds and going after qualifying in those tournaments because we need those points to qualify to the next one, right? Plus, we're still trying to get into the Pan American Games at the end of this year.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available at channel5belize.com, on our Facebook, and on YouTube. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.